What is going on, everyone? Mets Talk with Hayden. Hopefully, everyone is doing extremely well. Just give me 1 second to figure everything out. What is going on, everyone? Mets Talk with Hayden. Hopefully, extremely well. All right, everything sounds pretty crystal clear on my end. But yeah, hopefully, everyone is doing well. I'm most certainly doing well today. Besides the Mets, of course, there is no other reason for me not to be doing well. Sorry, a little bit of an early stream, busy next couple days, next couple weeks. As you can see, I have this little cool background. Currently not in my house right now. I'm currently out of state for the next 3 weeks. So I guess keep an eye out on that. But, I figured I definitely want to come on here still and talk with y'all, going over the Mets suffering and pain that will never end. So yeah, obviously we will be going over all of that. But in today's stream, we are going to be going over the New York Mets and the Houston Astros series summary, pretty much summarizing the good, the bad, and the ugly. Of course, emphasizing on the bad and the ugly. And then, of course, we will be going over the New York Mets and the Philadelphia Phillies series preview. So previewing what to expect with both of these teams. Obviously, both of these teams have changed a lot since they played each other last. So definitely could be an interesting series, to say for the least. And then we will be going over some of your guys' comments, questions, concerns, and then, other causes relating to the Mets struggles, front office, farm system, prospects, all of that great stuff. But yeah, before we get into that, if everyone wants to leave a like, comment, subscribe, if you want to turn on those post notifications, please do that. And yeah, I guess let's stop wasting any more time and let's take a little dive right into it. So obviously, the New York Mets were unfortunate enough to lose the series against the Houston Astros. The Mets never really have any luck against the Astros, yet alone in Houston. But they were able to take 1 of 3, which, I think for this Mets team right now, sad, crazy and sad to say, but that's probably an accomplishment. Sorry about that. Obviously, taking a look-see at Game 1, which was Tuesday's game, Monday's game. The New York Mets went on and won this first game of this series 11-1. And I would say by far this was arguably one of the best games of the season that was played. And it was started by Max Scherzer. And I would argue this was Max Scherzer's best start, not of this season, but as a New York Met, so including last year as well. Going 8 innings, which was the most, the farthest he pretty much went as a New York Met. So you really like to see that. Obviously, 4 hits, a run, a walk, 8 strikeouts. 91 pitches overall, 59 of those were in the strike zone. So it was not like he was pounding the zone, but this Houston Astros lineup just couldn't hit him. He really looked really good, dominated well, fastball, slider looked good. Just kind of threw those casual, basic pitches that he's always been known to for his success. He didn't leave any sliders over the plate, and we know that was a concern going back to the Yankee series and a lot of, the Braves series. So this was definitely a start that Scherzer needed. Obviously, 8 innings. Well, that helps out this team as a whole. It trickles down. It helps out this bullpen big time. He had the run support. Really, after the 3rd inning, he had the run support, and he was able to continue to ride out with that. Help his confidence, of course. And then with that said, 8 innings, you only had a guy pitch in the 9th, and that was Grant Hartwig, who made his major league debut and looked pretty good. Obviously, an inning, giving up a hit and a walk. 16 pitches, but got the 3 outs, didn't give up a run. So congratulations to him. Obviously, he's been in the Mets farm system for a couple years now, about 3 years. So congratulations to him on making his major league debut. Obviously, any bullpen help, any bullpen success, really right now for this team is going to go through a lot, considering how overtaxed and really overburdened this New York Mets bullpen is right now. So the pitching did well, obviously, only giving up 1 run and 5 hits, and they were able to get out of numerous jams defensively, double plays, ground balls, and that's what you like to see. In terms of the offense, that is where it was out, as stated, 11 runs, 14 hits, and wow, where was this offense all this season? Getting started with the offensive production in the 3rd inning, Daniel Vogelbach. Yeah, I hate to say it, but I think that 1-week mental health break really was needed for him. Obviously, Vogelbach in the 3rd inning had a solo home run to right to get this thing started. A couple at bats later, Starling Marte had an RBI single to center to bring in Brett Beatty and Francisco Alvarez. Heading on into the 3rd inning, Francisco Lindor broke open this ball game with a 3-run homer to right, 361 feet. to bring in Fransisco Alvarez, Starling Marte, and of course himself. Heading on into the 6th inning, Jeff McNeil had a RBI single to center to bring in Tommy Pham. And then in the 9th inning, where kind of all hell broke loose and the Mets offense was on fire, in the 9th inning, Fransisco Lindor had an RBI double to center to bring in Marte and Beatty. Just missed by this much for a home run. In the 9th inning, also, Tommy Pham had an RBI single to left to bring in Lindor. And then final run of the game, Daniel Vogelbach had an RBI single to center to bring in Pete Alonso, Tommy Pham. So, yeah, as stated, the New York Mets destroyed this game. I would say this was, arguably one of the few games where there was really no intensity, where everything went the Mets' way. 3rd inning, you score 5 runs, and essentially everything really just worked out from them. Fransisco Lindor had a good night, 2 for 5 RBIs. Starling Marte, 2 for 5. Tommy Pham, 2 for 4. McNeil, 2 for 5. Vogelbach, 2 for 5. Beatty, 2 for 5. Everyone produced. Pete Alonso, his first game back, had a pin shot RBI double, or just a double that was hit really hard. So Mets win this game 11-1. Scherzer with his 6th win on the season. Getting on into game 2 of this 3-game set, the Mets lose this game by a score of 4-2. And this arguably a very winnable game. Justin Verlander, was it his fault? You could say, 4 runs. Could your offense battle back and help you? Sure, we saw it the night before. But at the end of the day, Verlander, a couple stupid pitches in certain situations that kind of hit him. Verlander, obviously, 7 innings pitched, 8 hits, 4 runs, 5 strikeouts. So he didn't walk many guys. He went long, but this was a weird start. It comes to the point where could you argue, was the offense accountable? But Verlander, he's an ace. No excuses. He should be a guy that shouldn't be throwing a fastball down the middle to give up a 2-run homer to Alex Bregman or whatever. Just couldn't get out of the jams, really, that he was in. And I guess it's going to come down to, Justin Verlander. Is he going to get his stuff together? Say what you want about the 4 runs, but, look at his Cy Young season last year. So, are we going to see that? We really haven't seen that at all this season. So, I would say Verlander, he had the start against Cleveland that was good. Maybe the start against Cincinnati, and then maybe one other start that I can't recall. But Verlander's been very frustrating this year, and he's a guy that Mets fans are not going to be very patient with. He's 40 years old. He's up there in age. He won Cy Young last year. Is it New York? Is it just another year older? Who knows? So, yeah, Verlander obviously had that. And then Jeff Brigham came in for an inning of relief, giving up a hit, 2 walks, and a strikeout. So, yeah, obviously that was the Mets pitching, obviously only giving up 4 runs, 9 hits. Not too bad. In terms of the offensive production, it's really where they lacked. Obviously, they were Framber Valdez was throwing a perfect game against them until the 5th inning. Mark Canha broke it up with a single. But Mets only 2 runs, 4 hits, and that's unexcusable, to say for the least. Very unexcusable. The only offensive production came later in the game. They tried to battle back, but just couldn't get the job done. In the 8th inning, Mark Canha had a sac fly to right field to bring in Tommy Pham, and then Eduardo Escobar had an RBI single to center to bring in Fransisco Alvarez. But that's really all she was able to write in this game. The Mets were not able to go out there and put up any more runs. They scored 11 runs the night prior, and a little bit, I don't know, just a little bit fatigued the next day and just kind of fell off of it. So, yeah, Mets lose this game 4-2. Verlander with his 4th loss on the season. Getting into game 3 and the final game of this set, arguably one of the most frustrating games that I think we've watched for this team this year. This game, if someone says, Hayden, sum up this 2023 Mets team, I'm going to sit them down and put on this game and say, boom, sums up this team. And it was once again an inexcusable joke. They went out there and they played like shit. Simple as that. Tyler McGill, obviously the Mets lose this game 10-8. How do you do that? That's a great question. Well, Tyler McGill came on and absolutely bombed it. He wet the bed. Two and a third, 4 hits, 4 runs, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts, 63 pitches. Tyler McGill's absolutely frustrating start. Okay, say what you want in the first inning. Behind the plate, couple defensive mishaps from Omar Narvaez. McGill couldn't really get his slider. I don't know if there was some miscommunication, but 2 pass balls in the first inning. And obviously, one of those gave up a run and obviously helped, move the guys over. And yeah, I don't really know if there was some miscommunication, if it was a pitch clock. We know that recently Alvarez has been catching for the most part every day. So just, a nice off day for Francisco Alvarez. And, he's going to need those days if he wants to be healthy. But yeah, McGill looked horrible. And like I said, we saw that shortened stride once again, destroyed his release point, and simple as that. He's not bridging it with the cutter or fixing any other solutions for that. And he is going to get feasted on. He is going to get beat up, and that is exactly what we saw. And it's going very frustrating watching him. We saw yesterday there was reports that Tyler McGill was optioned down to AAA Syracuse, and good. If you're going to come up here and pitch like shit, yeah, you shouldn't be on this roster. I don't care about last year. I don't care about 2021. I care about now. If you're not playing well now, well, you're in some serious trouble. And McGill, once again, 2 and a third. And obviously the moral of the story, the Mets starters don't go deep into games. They lose the games. Overtaxed and overburdened bullpen came in. Dominic Leone sucks. An inning and a third, 4 hits, 4 runs, 2 strikeouts. I don't know why Buck Showalter put him out there for a second inning. That's a great question. Then came Grant Hartwig, an inning and a third, 3 walks. So I guess a clean outing. Josh Walker came in an inning, a hit, a walk. And then Adam Ottavino, 2 innings, 3 strikeouts. So essentially the final 3 bullpen arms came in, were able to have lights out. But really all the damage was done essentially really in the first 4 innings. And then, the rest of the way the Astros lineup kind of cooled off. But like I said, the Mets scored 8 runs and you still managed to lose this game. No excuses. There is no excuses for you to lose that game. In terms of the offense, 8 runs, 10 hits. Getting started in the second inning, Starling Marte had an RBI double to left to bring in Vogelbach and Beatty. Following that at bat, Fransisco Lindor had a sac fly to right to bring in Brandon Nimmo. Heading on into the third inning, Daniel Vogelbach had an RBI double to right to bring in Tommy Pham. In the fourth inning, Daniel Vogelbach had an RBI single to center to bring in Lindor. So once again, we've been seeing Vogelbach tear it up lately. He pulls the ball and good things happen. And then in the sixth inning, Pete Alonso had a 2-run homer to center to bring in himself and Francisco Lindor, 432 feet for his 23rd on the season. So good to see him really mash that ball in his first series back. But arguably inexcusable loss. Dominic Leone, his 3rd loss on the season, big surprise, but no excuses. No excuses to lose this series, to lose this game. I know coming in here, I argued and said, even if you take 1, that's an accomplishment at this rate. But I mean, you score 11 runs. I mean, you pretty much win the first game by 10 runs. Lose the second game by 2, 3, and then lose the third game 2, 3. I mean, someone said in the comment section, and we talk about it, when the pitching's good, the offense is bad. When the offense is good, the pitching's bad. This team is the definition of inconsistent. And, that's the issue that they're facing right now. But, pitching is the main reason they lose. So, obviously, with that said, the Mets continue to suck. Big surprise. But with that said, the Mets are going to Philadelphia to play a 3-game set in Philly. And they're probably going to get swept. But, whatever. We'll see how that goes. With that said, tonight, 7:05, Friday, Apple TV. So if things couldn't get any worse, the Mets will be playing on Apple TV. So you're going to have to listen to those very annoying announcers. But obviously, Kodai Senga is on the bump tonight. Senga has had a pretty good season. He's arguably been a big reason that the Mets have been successful this season. He's definitely carried this pitching staff. Senga 6-4 in the season, 3.53 ERA, a 1.33 WHIP. Obviously, big strikeout guy, 87 strikeouts and 71 1/3 innings pitched this year. Kodai Senga, obviously, hopefully he could have a good outing tonight. You'd like to see him give you 6-7 innings. We know you did have an off day yesterday, but still your bullpen is obviously overtaxed and overused. and not good. So really, arguably, as the longer Kodai Senga could go in the game, I would argue is the better. Senga, nasty ghost forkball, nice fastball combination. He mixes those two pitches up. And we saw against this Philadelphia Phillies lineup last series, they just couldn't figure out Senga. I don't know if it was the ghost forkball or just the Phillies lineup at the time was just playing very inadequately, not getting runners on, not driving them in. I don't know if it was that or if they just simply enough couldn't figure out Senga. And we'll see. I mean, obviously, it's second game facing against them now, so we'll see if they could figure him out. They have figured him out. Their offense has looked much better since we played them last. But yeah, Senga's been a great part of success for this team. Like I said, goes forkball, fastball, high strikeouts. Like I said, just keep the ball in the strike zone. Don't walk guys. That's the last thing you want to see is Senga, get into these 2-out situations like he does and walk a guy, walk another guy. Key to success for Senga, don't walk batters. And once you have 2 outs, execute. Get that 3rd out because we see Senga. He loves getting 2 outs and then he gives up a single, a walk, a single, just execute. So obviously, Senga on the mound tonight. And then for the Philadelphia Phillies, a recognizable face in Taijuan Walker. And yeah, Walker, he's been doing pretty good as of lately. I mean, take it with the grain of salt, the ERA and the WHIP. But last couple games, he's been dominating. So we'll see if the Mets are able to go against him. We know that the last time the Mets faced Taijuan Walker this season, they won. Low offensive game, but you won, so who cares? So we'll see how that goes. So that is game 1 tonight. Getting into game 2, Saturday's game tomorrow, 4:05 Eastern start. The Mets will have Carlos Carrasco on the mound. Cookie Carrasco. Yeah, once again, it's been very frustrating to watch this season. Not going to sugarcoat it. He's been garbage. Taking a look-see at Carlos Carrasco, he is 2-3 on the season. 6.34 ERA, 1.55 WHIP. So, say for the least, he has really not been having a good season at all. Simply enough, comes into the first inning, immediately puts the Mets down, and then puts the troubles on the offense to come back. Carrasco, just the velocity concern is horrible. Doesn't locate the plate well, and then when he does, it's right down the middle, and it's 450 in the bleachers. So, yeah, Carrasco has just been very frustrating to watch, giving up a lot of hard contact, a lot of long balls, and I mean, there's no other way to say it. He's just a crappy pitcher. So, I would be impressed if Carrasco could go out there 5-6 innings and only give up a run or two. I think that'd be a massive accomplishment for Carrasco, and hopefully he could turn it around. And then obviously for the Phillies, they will have the lefty in Christopher Sanchez, who hasn't pitched a lot this year. So we'll see how the Mets could do against him. Obviously, the Mets, not the best with lefties, but a couple guys have been getting their stats up against lefties. And then getting into Sunday's game, final game of this 3-game set, 1:35 start. The Mets will have Max Scherzer on the bump. Scherzer obviously is coming off of a big start, 6-2 on the season, 4.04 ERA, 1.16 WHIP. Scherzer obviously fastball slider combination, keep that in check. Don't give up any hard contact. The long balls, essentially, if he keeps the ball in the park, I don't think he would give up many runs. Execute with 2 outs. Get those, swinging and misses intact. This is a Phillies lineup that can see a lot of strikeouts. Obviously, guys like Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, whoever, decent amount of power hitters. So keep that in check. But yeah, keep the ball in the ballpark for Scherzer, I say. And then for the Philadelphia Phillies, they will have Zach Wheeler, who been having a pretty solid season, nothing too crazy, but he's been playing pretty well, I would argue. So yeah, that is the New York Mets and the Philadelphia Phillies series preview. Mets coming in 34-40, 6 games under 500. On the road, 17-25. Yeah, I mean, really rough to watch. Obviously, they coming off of a series, took 1 of 3 in Houston, and they're 1-4 in their last 5. Phillies, on the other hand, have been red hot. Phillies have been playing very, very well. Very, very well. So we will see how that goes. Sorry, give me 1 second. All right. And then obviously taking an examination of the Phillies, 38-36, 19-13 at home. Yeah, Phillies have been figuring it out lately. Like I said, they've been pretty red hot. Yeah, it was against the Athletics, but they played well in the Diamondback series, played pretty decent against the Braves. Pitching wise, they've stepped it up. A lot of their starters have been going longer into games. They've been giving them quality starts, but their offense has really stepped up big time. We know that was a big concern for the Phillies earlier this season, was their offense and the inability to drive runners in with runners in scoring position. They get guys in scoring position and they're driving them in. And that's how you win ball games. You can't win ball games nothing to nothing, or, there's no ties in baseball. And I guess the Phillies, they got hot. Guys like Schwarber, the average, the OBP, the OPS isn't there, but it's up to 20 home runs. So he's been hitting some long balls by no doubts this season. Other guys, Harper, Castellanos. Castellanos has been big part to the Phillies' success this season. We know that Castellanos had a horrible season last year. And yeah, he's been hitting for a high average, getting on base. He's been a big success for them. Alec Boehm, Bryce Harper, Brandon Marsh. We know the Phillies very well. People, don't think they're that great, but I know I'm a Mets fan. I shouldn't praise them, but hey, I give credit when it's due, and they're a good team. Say what you want about their bullpen and some of their pitching, and maybe a little bit sloppy defensively, but they figured a lot of that out. I mean, look at them a year ago today and now. And, you could make a lot of comparisons to the 2021 first half Phillies and this Mets team now. They are looking very sloppy. The Mets are doing what the Phillies did in the first half last year. Sloppy defensively. I mean, making these silly mistakes on the base paths. So, yeah, right now, coming into this series, a couple guys I think are going to have a good series. Coming in at number 1, I have Fransisco Lindor. He has been red hot lately. Obviously, he gave birth to a daughter, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. So congratulations to him and his wife. But yeah, he's been playing pretty well as of lately. So yeah, like I said, I give credit when it's due. Fransisco Lindor is playing very well lately. So, I will say that. Quote me on that all you want. But yeah, I think Lindor will have a good series against the Philadelphia Phillies. Coming into my number 2 guy, I think Pete Alonso is going to have a good series. He has great numbers against the Phillies, good numbers in Citizens Bank Park. Obviously, he's not facing Nola, which is unfortunate because he does well against them, but he has as many good numbers against bullpen arms, Connor Brogdon, and whoever else is on that bullpen. So I think Pete Alonso is my number 2 guy. And number 3 guy, I think you got to go Tommy Pham. Tommy Pham has just been getting on base. He's been a hit machine, a walk machine, and big parts of their offensive production lately. So, yeah, Fransisco Lindor, Pete Alonso, Tommy Pham, I think are going to have a good series. For the Phillies, Schwarber's been hot, so I think Schwarber's a guy you could say. Castellanos, he's been playing very well. And I think Taijuan Walker. I think Taijuan Walker is going to have a good outing tonight. So we'll see how that goes. Comes to the predictions, it's tough. The Mets have been playing very well against the Phillies, obviously last year and obviously this year. Last time the Mets played the Phillies, and the only time the Mets played the Phillies this year, they swept them 3-0. However, their offense has changed a lot since, so I don't feel the same level of confidence as I did last time. I'd love to sit here and say they take 2 or 3, but I don't know if I can. I think maybe they could take 2 or 3. At the minimum, 1 of 3. If they get swept, I think Mets fans will probably just not even, So, yeah, I don't know. We're going to really just have to wait and see. Like I said, there's no confidence going into this series. No expectations. And that's been the moral of the Mets for the last 2 months, with the exclusion of that 1 week against the Rays and the Guardians. So, like I said, there's really no expectations for this team right now. And, the Phillies, the Mets have always beat up on. And if the Phillies win this series against the Mets, well, maybe the Mets are really not the same team as they were. And obviously the Mets are not the same team as they were last year. Very disappointing. Very disappointing. This team wins the first game of the series, and then they come in and lose game 2 and 3. I mean, people say 2021 Mets. This team is much worse. I mean, at least the Mets 2021 Mets played well for 75% of the season, 60% of the season. This team played well for what, 5-10? I mean, it's getting very, very frustrating watching this team right now. It looks sloppy. So we'll get into some of your questions, comments, concerns for a little bit. Nothing too long, of course. But yeah, what's going on, everyone? Geo, Baseball Media, Alex, Captain Morgan, Geo, Martin, Cedric, Cal, Kobe, what's going on? Baseball is my air. How's it going? And yeah, Cal brings up the point that I've been saying a lot. Is it me, or is this team starting to get mentally? They've been looking very sluggish on the field, and they are. They're very sloppy. They're making a lot of defensive mishaps, and I just think mentally they're carrying it on the field. These errors and these mishaps are not talent-wise or performance-based. These are just mental. All these guys in these team are great defensively. They're not, like a Schwarber or whoever else is bad defensively in the league. These are good defenders on this team, but they're making mistakes mentally. When you're going, one for your last 9 and the whole clubhouse is kind of feeling shitty. I mean, yeah, you're going to be feeling the pressure. You're going to be feeling inadequately, and then you're going to carry it onto the field and, go 0 for 4 and make 2 errors. It's that simple. So, yeah, right now there's no excuses, and they're getting hit mentally. It's that simple. Mark's here. How's it going? Seth says Jeremy Hefner has to be the first to go. This team is unwatchable. Yeah, I agree with you, and I'm surprised the Mets haven't fired Hefner about a month ago. You look at 2021. Main concern was the offense. They fired Chili Davis a month into the season. Yet it's probably been about 3 months and 2 months since we've been dealing with this inadequate pitching staff, and Jeremy Hefner is still here. I think Hefner is a very overrated pitching coach. I think a big reason people praised him was because DeGrom. Was because the Mets have been always very well with pitching development, but I don't really think that's the case anymore. I've never really thought Hefner was that great of a pitching coach. And point is, and even if it's not him, let's say they fire him and the pitching staff, still has these crappy outings from Verlander and McGill and Carrasco and the bullpen. At least you could say you did something. I'd rather them fire someone and still lose than not fire someone and still lose. Because at least that shows to the fans. At least that shows from Steve Cohen and Billy Epler that you are making an attempt to revive this ball team. Instead of them just sitting out there and, they can keep running through the motions all they want. Run through the motions, throw the same lineup, throw the same thing. You're not going to get anything done if that is the case. Right now, the fans are not happy. Mets fans are not happy with Buck Showalter. They are not happy with Billy Epler. And I look on Twitter, I look on social media. Mets fans are not very happy with Steve Cohen. And who would have thought that? Last 2 years, everyone praised Steve Cohen. I look on Twitter. People are calling him a Wilpon. People are saying you should be embarrassed. Why do you only tweet out when they win once a month? You need to do something, not even for the fans, but for the sake of the ball team. You need to make a move. Somebody needs to be held accountable. I don't care if they fire a janitor. You need to hold people accountable for their actions. And when the clubhouse starts to see that people are getting fired, maybe that's going to think, shit, things are not looking too well. Maybe, everyone needs to step up a bit. Lately, guys have been taking accountability, and I'm happy with that. Lindor was accountable for his error in Pittsburgh. Buck LaRussa, or Buck Showalter, as I should say, his press conferences are weird, but there's some accountability there. But Hefner needs to go. It's that simple. Hefner is the first guy to go. It's that simple. And Captain Morgan brings up a good point. People are blaming Showalter for the Mets' struggles. Or for the Mets' struggles and the way they're playing. I would like to say Showalter is not the one to blame so far. The players and the pitching staff are to blame. And Captain Morgan, I kind of agree with you on that. When it comes to Buck, I feel he is a little bit of the scapegoat for this team right now. When it comes down to Buck Showalter, I kind of say, how much is he going to do? Should he be fired right now? Should he fire his guys up? Yes. And that is the part where I am very upset with Buck Showalter. Right now, Buck Showalter, what is he going to do with his bullpen? The bullpen management, that's always been inadequate. That's been the case for the past 25 years with Baltimore, with New York. That's nothing new. Right now, it's kind of like the Aaron Boone situation. Cashman gives him what he can do. Epler is giving Showalter what he can. And, how much can Showalter do when he has a bullpen of Dominic Leone and all the, Steven Agosuk and all these other bums? Not to sound like Frank the Tank, but I mean, what are you going to do? Yes, don't get me wrong. Situations like managing for tomorrow, leaving Ottavino in for a second inning and not putting in Robertson because you need him tomorrow. Robertson didn't pitch at all this series, so Buck was done for that. But it's only happened a handful of times this season, and that happened last year too. However, when it comes to the point when you have guys like McGill going out there giving up 5 runs in 2 innings, well, what can Buck do? He's not pitching. He's not, and when your lineup scores 2 runs, what can he do? He's not the one batting. The problem with Showalter right now, and this is where I do get on him, is he's not holding anyone accountable. He's not firing these guys up. Maybe he does it privately. Who knows? But right now, he is not holding anyone accountable, and he's sitting there, and he's pretty much dead. He's a zombie during these during these press conferences, saying he's proud after they got swept in Atlanta, even though they scored 10 runs. I'm not proud. Who cares? Pete Alonso could hit a grand slam. If you're going to lose, no one cares. I mean, yeah, it's cool for stat-wise, but what is it going to do? So, yeah, right now when it comes to Buck, yeah, maybe he gets a little bit more blame than he should. Do I think he's the reason the Mets are in the position they are now? No, I think a lot of that really can go to the pitching staff and the bullpen. I mean, I think guys like Billy Epler are more accountable, are more responsible for the season. So I would say right now, Captain Morgan, I would say the pitching and Billy Epler. I mean, I'm assuming BE stands for Billy Epler. So yeah, I don't know. I think Buck has kind of lost it a little bit this year. I think last year, with all the success last year, I think he took a big step back this year. And I think that's kind of just left a little bit of a message for this team right now. And, the Mets won a lot of games last year because of Buck, you can argue. There was that game in Miami where Nimmo had that smart base running thing. And I don't know, something like if you run and hits you or it hits it was something weird, but something like that. And, after the game, they were like, well, how did you know to do that? And he's like, oh, well, during spring training, Buck was telling us about this, or Buck told me this. But yeah, I definitely think Buck has, Buck's looked a little much different this year. iHeart Sports, what's going on? He says, morning from the West Coast. How's it going, man? Appreciate you tuning in. Cal says, Jeremy, yeah, I agree, man. Alyssa says, crazy 2 years ago, this Mets team had one of the best rotations of baseball. Now sitting here in 2023, they have one of the worst. Yeah, that's it's crazy. It really is. Baseball media says the Mets need to get fired up and change their culture before it's too late. Yeah, they really do. Sooner rather than later, yeah, this team can get hot. But at the end of the day, if they can get hot in August, and it could be too late by then. I mean, you're what? First, division's gone. The division is gone. They're not winning the division. Can they be somehow even clinch that last wild card spot? We'll see. We have a lot of tough competitors out there. The Phillies, the Giants. Look at that NL West. We'll see. iHeart Sports says the Philly series is big for the division. Yeah. I mean, definitely for that. The Marlins too. The Marlins are playing very well as well. They could possibly go after a wild card spot. So yeah, I agree. It's definitely going to be big for the standings. And that's the thing this year is, division teams are not playing as much. So these games are much more valuable, you could argue. And that's another reason you could argue the Mets are very in a crappy position in their division is because they haven't played their division rivals as much. Captain Morgan says, Francisco Alvarez gives me hopes. He absolutely crushes balls. Haven't seen that power since Canseco. Yeah, I agree, man. Kobe says, Mets' biggest concern right now? Simple. It's pitching. Starting pitching. It's that simple. Oh, yeah. Captain Morgan says this team is very frustrating. And, yeah, like I said, hopefully they can go on a run. But when? Judo, what's going on? Judah says the Mets are going to lose 100 games, and this will be Showalter's last year. the Mets will get the number 3 draft pick. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they'll lose 100, but I wouldn't be surprised if they lose 90 or 80. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, right now, just looking at this team right now, there's no confidence. There's no expectations. There's no morale. And at the way they're playing, yeah, I mean, when you're going 2 for your last 8, yeah, you're going to be on pace to lose 100 games, 90 games. I think Showalter has 1 more year in his contract, and obviously, considering where it goes, will they bring him back next year? Probably. But, the biggest thing that's frustrating is that these are Steve Cohen's guys. Say what you want, and, not to come on your bash Cohen, of course, but 2021, you have to give Cohen a little bit of an excuse. Sandy Alderson wasn't his. Luis Rojas wasn't his. None of those guys were his. All of these guys are his. Epler, his choice. Buck Showalter, his choice. Eric Chavez, all the benching coach. I mean, really, besides Jeremy Hefner. So, you have to figure it out. Dion says, when will Quintana return? Sorry. Good question. So, yeah, Jose Quintana has been on a rehab assignment, I believe I want to say it was Port St. Lucie, potentially. And he's been pitching pretty well. So, I mean, maybe a week or 2. And he would be a good arm to get back by means. Christina says, I still think there is time to turn around for us. Not title, but we can get into the postseason. Still, it is frustrating watching them for sure, but hopefully they get it together. Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's 162 game season. There's plenty of time, but like I said, it comes to the point as well. How much longer? So that's really going to be the, I guess, kind of question for the Mets. Christina says, I swear it's the water in New York because the Yankees have been horrible mentally too. And I agree. New York baseball has not been great this year. Okay, yeah, the Yankees have a winning record, sure. Aaron Judge is not healthy, and they haven't been. I mean, yeah, you could say they haven't been playing well because of Judge, but 41 and 34, you'll take that. But lately, they haven't been playing well. They got destroyed last night, 10-2. They still won the Mariners series. Got swept in Boston, split the Mets series, lost the series to the Red Sox, lost the series to the White Sox. And, Judge kind of got hurt right before that. So, yeah, they haven't really been playing very well lately. And, yeah, and you look at that division. I mean, they're not on, right now they're not, I don't think they would be in the playoffs right now, obviously. 9.5 games back from first place. And then you got the Blue Jays right on their tail, a half a game back. And, Boston is kind of relevant. So, yeah, I mean, Judge is not healthy. I mean, hopefully you'll get Rodon back soon for the Yankees. But, yeah, it just really hasn't been exciting. And you saw the Subway Series, the Mets and Yankees. It wasn't that energetic. It wasn't that exciting, in my opinion. Judah says, nope, we're going to lose 100 games. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, if they continue playing the way they are, they definitely will. I Heart Mets says, Mets haven't had homegrown pitching for as long as I can remember. Well, no, I mean, I Heart Sports, the Mets have, I mean, you have guys like DeGrom, Zach Wheeler, Steven Matz. I mean, the Mets have been very well when it comes to developing pitchers. Recently, I would say the last 10 years, they've been very good with it. About go back in time, Tom Seaver, Gooden, sure. But, last year or 2, they haven't really been developing pitching. They've been relying on the free agent market and the trade market. And like I said, the draft this year, I don't want to see them drafting any shortstops, no catchers, no infielders. You are drafting pitching and outfielders. Because, I mean, right now, when it comes to the Mets farm system, prospect-wise, you have Blake Tidwell and Mike Vassell, and it's about it. Matt Allen is recovering from Tommy John, so, I mean, we're really just going to have to see kind of the step he takes, but they need to draft pitching. It is that simple. Um, 100% I agree. Judah says these are basically the 2004 Mets with Art as a manager. That's, yeah, I've heard a couple people say that. Baseball is my air says, what's the next step after a closed door meeting doesn't work? And like I said, they had a closed door meeting after they got swept in Atlanta, and I think they haven't won a series since. So I mean, I don't really know what to say. I guess someone needs to get fired. Show a message. Teddy says they need to drink milk. They need to do a lot of things. Yeah. Maybe help some of the warning track power guys. And Kobe says LFGM. And yeah, I agree, man. So we're really going to have to see how it goes. But yeah, I guess if anyone else has any more comments, questions, concerns, probably going to get ready to call it a stream. We'll get a little bit shorter than a usual stream today. But yeah, if anyone else has any more comments, questions, concerns, please feel free, drop it in the comment section below. And we will see how the Mets Phillies series goes. Yeah, obviously, like I said, Mets, things are not looking too great for them. Obviously, Mets Phillies series, I'm not confident against the Phillies. I'm really not. I don't see, it's crazy to think because the Mets have, went like what? 20-3 on them in last year and this year. But right now with this Mets team, the Phillies have gotten better. A lot of people don't think the Phillies are as good, and I give them credit. They're a pretty decent team. I don't think they're going to win 100 games, but they're definitely an 85, 90 win team. That's enough to get you to the playoffs. We saw it last year. Their offense has gotten much better since we played them last. I will say that. So, see how things go. But yeah, with that said, we'll probably get ready to call it a stream here. I really do appreciate everyone for tuning into the stream as always. Yeah, if anyone else has any more comments, questions, concerns, definitely do that. But yeah, we're probably going to get ready to call it a stream here. Obviously, in today's live stream, we went over the New York Mets and the Houston Astros series summary, going over the good, the bad, and the ugly. Then, of course, we went over the New York Mets and the Philadelphia Phillies series preview, pretty much previewing what we can expect in that series. The expectations, which there's not none, there's not much, but we'll see how that goes. What else? Going over the Mets farm system, of course, your guys' comments, questions, concerns, the Mets front office. And really just the inadequate play of the Mets lately and kind of been what has been the root cause of why the Mets have been a bad team. So, yeah, we're really just going to have to wait and see how that goes. Like I said, plenty of more games ahead, but expectations, morale, and confidence from the fans is just not there. So, yeah, we're going to have to see how that goes. Like I said, if you are rewatching this on replay, I appreciate you for tuning in for 45 minutes. You're a legend. Otherwise, yeah, I appreciate everyone for tuning in to today's stream. Give this video a like, comment, subscribe, turn on those post notifications, tell your friends about this channel. Let's get to 800 subscribers. That is the goal. First half of baseball is almost done. And yeah, otherwise, appreciate everybody for tuning in to today's stream. LFGM, let's go Mets, let's go baseball. And yeah, that is all I have. I will be traveling to a couple ballparks this week, so definitely keep an eye out on that. I'll post some stuff on Twitter, so definitely if you want to see my little journeys, definitely keep an eye out on that. You can follow me on Twitter at Mets Hayden. So if you'd like to see me run around ballparks and educate people on Fransisco Alvarez like an idiot, then you could see that. But yeah, otherwise, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. As stated, give this video a like, comment, subscribe, turn on those post notifications, tell your friends about this channel. Let's get to 800 subscribers. And yeah, I love Jam. Till next time, baseball fans. See you.